This is the dw5600E, and it's like 3 versions. This is the 1545 module. That one over here is the 3229 module, and this is the newer 3525 module. So the differences that I've noticed so far are basically cosmetical. They have to do basically with the colorway and the organization of the dial, if you will. Okay, so for example, the water 200 meter resist is now water 20 bar resist. The Casio is the same, and the 3229 illuminator is much wider, and it's in blue. Whereas the illuminator in the newer version is all white and is right below the water mark there, the water resist mark. So they sort of swapped both out here in the newer version. So the water mark, water 200 meter resist mark is below the illuminator, whereas in the new version, the water mark is on top of the illuminator. The electroluminescent backlight disappeared from the newer version. See, now we have a LED backlight. And I've noticed as well that the wording alarm chrono is much more like the letters are a little thicker, if you will. And of course the arrow, see the red arrow here is sort of complete, whereas in this, the previous version, it's not complete. It's not a whole arrow. It's cut along the tip here. The buttons start, stop on the right corner, the right top corner, whereas you have here start, stop, and light on and off as well. The dial in the 3229 module is a little more, let's say, blurry. Can you see that? Like if you tilt the watch a little bit, the hour is not visible anymore. It tends to disappear. In the newer version, you tilt the watch and the time is still standing there. You can see the time. So let's compare both side by side. Let's bring up here the 1455 module. Well, the background of the dial is like sandpaper. The dial in the 3229 actually is a little smoother. Let me turn out the light. This is the 3229, and against the 1545. So this is the 3229. This is the 1545. The light tone on the 1545 is actually blue, whereas the light tone in the 3229 is actually green. It's a green tone against the blue tone there. So notice that the bezel configuration here is just the same dimensions. It's all the same buttons, the same size. The colorway in the 3229 is a little grayish, whereas the newer 3525 is completely black. So black bezel, and the strap seems to be a little grayish, whereas in the 3229 it's completely like the opposite. It's like a grayish bezel and a black strap. So in some sort of sense, I think these two should be swapped out. Of course, here you have LED backlight. So this is becoming increasingly more and more popular in Casio watches, whereas this is, the standard ELB light, electroluminescent backlight. Let me show you. This is the newer version, 3525 module, and then there's a serial number here. Mine says E1, E3, G9. And the rest is just the exact same thing as in the previous iteration. So there's the module number 3229 3525 dw5600E on the right, and on the left dw5600UE. What else? Made in Thailand as well. There's a bunch of these watches coming out of China, but mine comes out of Thailand. Whether that's good or bad, I have no idea. I'm just happy with this watch. To be honest, cosmetically, I like this one much better. The newer iteration. Not much better, but a little better because of the colorway. So I like the black bezel here against the grayish one. But I think the screen is so much crispier, so much clearer, so much, I don't know, feels quality. Feels like the old vintage quality type screen, whereas the 3229 looks a little cheaper. Unfortunately, the newer version, the newer module is not floating anymore. So the module, the guts of this watch they're in direct contact with the case of the watch. That's something that I don't like, because the essence of the G-Shock is like a floating module by definition. So I wanted to show you actually the difference inside between these two watches, these two versions actually. This is an open case of a 3225 module, dw5600UE. There's no rubber case enclosing the module. So basically you drop the module right into the case. Casio replaced the rubber casing of the watch by a plastic ring here. Is that a good move? I'm not sure. Let me show you here the 3229 module. So someone stripped the module open. You can see here the case, the module itself, the movement, a few screws down here, the straps, the case back, and the rubber seal that protects the movement and keeps the movement in a sort of floating condition. Let me show you what the old 1984 edition of the 5600 looked like. This watch is super rare nowadays. Like if you come across one of these, and I've seen some of these editions, older editions on eBay, they are around $1,000, $1,000 US. Super expensive. And all of them, of course, in bad shape. It looks pretty nice. And here's the module. This little layer that I've shown you in my previous videos also protected the watch from shocks, bumps, and stuff like that. It's a pity that, Casio decided to go this way and have the rubber shield here replaced by this plastic ring around the movement. Well, that's all for this video. That's what I wanted to share with you. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.